Hi, welcome to Stringing Tips. This is chapter 2. Firstly, I'd like to apologise for the quality of the video in chapter 1, which it was only when I saw the playback afterwards on YouTube that I realised that it was pretty grainy and could definitely be improved. So I'm hoping that this one will look a lot better and sound better. So that's the apology done on the first one. On the first video about split tensions had quite a few questions. Now I'm going to answer 2 of those questions which have a direct, that they actually have to do about the topic I was talking about. The first one is from Kostas Dimitriadis, which is when doing split tension with one piece, 1 kilo difference between in the mains and the crosses, will the different tension be shared among all the other strings? So as you're hitting the ball, because of the impacts and as it's one piece of string, will it be shared from those outside strings all the way through? No, it won't. Normally, well, that's why we put the extra tension on. If it's a lower tension on the crosses, then we put the extra, we keep it at the same tension as the mains, just so that if it does transition or bleed from one to the other, it goes to that one. It won't go any further in, and the same one on the long side. So no, I mean, although you do get some rackets that are straight drilled, so it means that there aren't as many angles for the tension to get caught on. Mostly, the tension doesn't tend to bleed that much more than the string next to it. So that's answering Kostas's question about whether it goes all the way across all the strings, which it doesn't. Then the next one is Pedro Sarmiento Faria, which is if you have a higher tension on the crosses, should you raise the tension on the mains before leading to it? So in other words, if you're stringing 24-25, would you put the last main at 25 to equal the cross? No, you wouldn't. You'd keep the mains at their original tension, and then you would go straight to, you wouldn't keep the tension the same as the main on the first cross if you're raising it. You would add the extra tension. So if it's 24-25, then you would do 24-25, and then obviously then if it's the one that goes to the knot, then you would add the 20% on afterwards. And the same on the long side, where it goes to the second one, which is basically, so the first one would be 24-25, and then eventually put the 20% extra tension on for the knot. And then on the long side, it would go to 2 to cross 2, with so 24, 25 and 25 all the way down. The 25 wouldn't be able to go on to, wouldn't be able to pull this one tighter, and this one won't bleed onto that as it's at a higher tension. So yeah, those 2 questions are about the chapter 1, the video in chapter 1, which are directly to do with the cross tension. Now in this chapter 2, I thought that I'd answer a question on stringing top down. Now, I know that a lot of, certain brands say you can string our rackets any way you want, whether it's bottom up, top down, makes no difference. Others say they have to be strung top down. The ones that say that they don't mind if their rackets are strung bottom up, it's Wilson, Babolat, pretty much every other one strings top down. And even if you actually look at the stringing teams that Wilson and Babolat have, in their competition stringing teams, they string all the rackets top down, never bottom up. So as a general rule, they're basically saying, look, the rackets are strong enough, they can take it any way you want it. So you can, if you want to string it bottom up and you don't know around the world, or you're not comfortable with doing 4 knots, then you can string it bottom up. We would always recommend stringing top down. For the main reason is you're stringing towards the stiffest part of the frame, the part of the frame that is least likely to deform. if you were to string from here going upwards, as you string the crosses working upwards, you're going to compress this side and push the pressure up there and there, which means then you can bring the top down, so you can shorten the racket. So if you have a racket that's been shortened, the first thing that I'd normally do is, well, it would be to check that it hasn't been strung bottom up. Secondly, that obviously the stringer knows what he's doing, and the supports on the machine, the 6 and 12 supports, were actually tightened up enough. But yeah, the reason that we string top down is because we're working towards a part of the frame that is least likely to deform. Stringing this way, we're pushing it up, and also you get racket breakages here on the shoulders because all the pressure is being put out onto this side. So if you hit a big first serve and you hit the ball off center up in this end, the frame can pop, and it's normally where frame breakages are seen the most. So when possible, string top down. Now, 4 knots, very, very easy. Obviously, if the mains finish at the bottom, tie off, start off, top cross, and work all the way down, tying off, which is very, very easy. If you have to string around the world because you're doing it with one piece, so with that, then the one that I would recommend would be the universal one, which there is a video on my channel how to string a universal around the world. So I'd use that one. It's the most commonly used. There's also the around the world Parnell, which is the one that puts in 2 crosses before going up on the penultimate main. Again, makes it very, very good if it's perfect for a pattern that has 2 crosses below the last main. So that it just means that it just looks neater. The runs of string are kept to a minimum, and but really the rest of it doesn't make that much difference. It's just from the aesthetic value. However, you can never underestimate the aesthetic value of a string job, mainly because it's perceived value. So if a racket looks good, the runs are kept to a minimum, then it looks as if you've done a good job. If there's long runs and then the knots aren't neat, all things like that, then it's sort of, you might have done a perfect job, but it just doesn't look like it. So this chapter 2 is all about stringing top down and the reasons why. I hope this has answered any of your questions that you might have. But again, if there's any questions that you'd like or on a future video, then please let me know in the comments below, and we can and I can do a video about it or answer any questions and take it for chapter 3. Thanks a lot. Happy stringing. Bye.